And it's the same in trust law. You know, the trustee can sort of disclaim ownership of the trust and say, you know, it's out of my depth to take on that responsibility at the moment, like.
Yeah.
So a court will not allow a trust to fail for want of a trustee.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So then the court will administer the trust.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. So there's a lot of honour there going on that maybe we've missed by looking at everything commercially, or, you know, we're being used as slaves, this, that and the other.
Yeah.
When actually all it takes is for people to get organised amongst themselves and start doing things for themselves.
That's it.
Yeah. Like, for example, now as we're talking, you know, we've covered a few topics and we're sharing information, which hopefully will go a long way to, you know, to help people understand the power that they do have.
Exactly, that's right, yeah. I mean, I know a lot of people started studying people like Winston Strout in Commercial Redemption, chasing wealth, because they think, yeah, I'm going to get access to these vast sums of money and I can just do what I like with it, but it's not going to work. It's not going to work if that's the intent behind it. I don't think it's going to work.
Well, at the same juncture, you know, how would you live if you were a multi-billionaire?
Yeah, that's right, yeah, how would you?
Hopefully not selfishly. Hopefully you'd be giving and, you know,
that's the point.
Selfless and...
Exactly. I mean, I've had these conversations a few times with people who are, you know, way down that path like yourself. They're saying, well, imagine if you've got, access to 10 million. You can't go and spend it yourself on yourself, but you can use it to set things up in your local community. You can set up, I don't know, like, a community trust of some sort, or just talk.
There's a million things, isn't it? You know, it's like, oh my God, I'm struggling for choice now because all my options are suddenly wide open. What are the things that I'd like to do?
Yeah.
Now, under the law of attraction, which is one of the universal laws,
yeah,
you start doing something and you'll start attracting stuff that's going to be beneficial for you, for others, and, you know, through communicating and sharing information, remaining in honour, you're going to go a long way to redirecting your life, you know, your life path, your journey.
That's it, yeah.
So, in understanding that the corporate fiction has nothing to do with you, then you know,
yeah.
Now you can start getting on with your life as you would wish, and start doing the necessary study.
That's it, yeah, that's right.
To do the things that you want to do for others.
So I know I've seen it mentioned before that there's the standard anti-capitalist rhetoric which says, look, the system we've got now, it needs destroying. It's a profit-based, global, corporate, financial dictatorship in the making. And then on the other side of the coin, you've got people who are studying the laws of commerce and commercial redemption and saying, actually, the ruling class, the powers that be, created a system which is actually perfect for us. We just don't know how to use it. We haven't
Exactly.
how to use it yet. So obviously there's two different sides to pretty much everything.
You've got to start questioning yourself, you know, who are you and what are your aims and your goals for your life?
That's it, yeah.
Because everything that you've chose to do up until now, you know, I've got no proof. And you may have already set your life path out, you know, in time that's infinite, because
absolutely
we don't know who we are. We know that we wake up in the morning and, you know, we've had dreams. Well, where have we been?
Yeah.
Where are we? Where do we actually exist?
So I suppose it's like, I mean, we're beginning to understand now that our thoughts are pretty much physical. Obviously, you know, we're going into terms of subjects like sound and vibration and manifestation and the nature of reality, but this area is obviously expanding, more people are expanding knowledge in this area at this moment in time.
Definitely, yeah. I think the film, was it something about goats or something?
Men Who Stare at Goats.
That was a great example of what some may call witchcraft or whatever.
Yeah.
Or like shamanic teaching.
Yeah, of course.
Using the laws of nature. Well, you know, natural law is also called God's law, and depending how you look at it and what terminology you want to use, the laws of nature are the same as God's law.
Absolutely.
It's just that because of the corporate agenda, they have a separate agenda to religion. And do you know about the religion versus state thing, where the state can't interfere with religion?
Not specifically.
Well, the case that interested me, it wasn't so much a court case, but it was what happened was a guy in South Africa managed to use Zulu law because he came from the Zulu nation.
Yeah.
He lived in the corporate nation or state known as South Africa,
Yeah.
where to do this it's illegal, and yet he superseded that law by the law of his nation, which is the Zulu law.
Yeah.
And he married 4 women on the same day.
That's a good.
Because, you know, that's been there in time before any of this corporate agenda stuff came along.
Yeah, absolutely.
So if we know who we are and we understand the identity of where we've come from and why we're here and, you know, the purposes and, you know, everything that we want to create because we have the power to create, then we can start administering our own law, and all that is then sort of like in trust because we're being the trustee for our own body.
Yeah.
And our own thoughts, our own intangible assets.
Yeah, completely.
Now, thoughts are generally, I don't know if it sounds like you do know something about like maybe Chinese medicine.
Yeah, a little bit. I mean, I think we've got a mutual friend, Chinese friend, Sam.
Yeah.
You know, Sam, we used to talk a lot.
Yeah.
She's put me on to certain things that I've read little bits about, and I think in terms of frequency in the body, they definitely seem to be way ahead of us.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. When the Renaissance, they were Renaissance artists in France. When people started bringing back artwork from China to France, the top artists like Monet,
Yeah.
You know, some of them guys, they saw some of the artwork coming back from China and they said, this is like 900 years ahead of anything we know about art.
Wild.
So, yeah, at that juncture, then you look at the philosophy, and the philosophy in Chinese medicine is that the structure of the organs inside our body should be administered like the way a government would. You know, the heart is the governor, and the liver is like the general, and they've got these qualities about them that we can learn to use for our own health and benefits, like our own healing.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. You're a martial artist yourself. Remind me what area it is you've competed in?
Not a lot of people have heard of it, but they all have seen it probably. It's the same style Jet Li's on. It's called Wushu.
All right, okay. Because obviously, I mean, it's something I've wanted to start studying more. Like, martial arts there's a lot of it focused on, internally, and the power of the heart, and there's a lot of focus on, like I say, yeah, just internal stuff rather than looking for answers externally.
Exactly. The wushu, really, like, when I've been over to China and I've met the coaches and the athletes and everything, the majority of them were sick children.
Yeah.
And that's how they get chose to be, candidates to go into the sport.
Wild.
Yeah, because they're not really going to be able to cope with the academic studies because the bodies aren't physically designed, for that, like.
Yeah.
Well, in our schooling system, we don't really have that outlet. But, we need an outlet for people who aren't designed for the specific schooling that we give them.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and the schooling really generally now is geared towards like corporate agenda.
Definitely.
Which is all commerce, like.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, there's a lot of hoo-ha about schools now being seen as investment opportunities rather than places of education. So,
well, education in England is the largest growth industry.
oh, what?
A couple of years ago, it made £68 billion.
That's crazy.
That's the extent of the international scope of English education, because internationally it's seen as a great place to send your child. There's tons of Chinese coming here. There's loads of people from Europe and America all over the place who come here to study.
Absolutely. I mean, up in the northeast, Sunderland University, without the Chinese students, I don't think Sunderland University would be able to operate at all, because they get so much income from China, from Chinese students.
Exactly, and the English students are suffering. Well, when I say suffering, I mean they're being stopped from entering into the universities.
Yeah, obviously now with the way what the government's got to do, it's going to be harder. There's going to be current students from lands because, well, number one, they're not getting a good enough education anyway, even though the results always seem to somehow get better. Which tends to, obviously some universities are very lenient on their criteria and who they let in, and some are obviously going the other way, and tuition fees and student debt, it's making it harder for people here to go.
Exactly. Now, what's the reason for that?
Yeah, I know that you can speculate. I mean, one of the conclusions is, subversion. You could say it's to subvert our own ability to understand what's going on in the world. The step towards making us incredibly reliant on government as opposed to friends, family, and local community. So
exactly.
Something to get into is, getting people back to, I mean, obviously growing food's something that most people can take a little step towards, but even trying to store 2 years worth of food is quite tough. But trying to re-engage with neighbours, with the local community, and sort of rebuilding these organisations where you don't have to rely on a supermarket, or you don't have to rely on a government, or just trying to be more reliant on ourselves and working together. And obviously it's something we can do. It's just just seems to be, well,
it's beautiful, like, isn't it? It's pure love, like, it's love to one another.
That's it.
It's, if you've got, a guy who's a pensioner, you can guarantee that he's going to have a hell of a lot of knowledge about growing stuff.
Too right. Well, I'm learning so much just from my granddad. He's got a double allotment, and it's great. Like, it's fantastic. Just, it's brilliant learning from the older generation about things like growing food. But